And when Trump pressures the warning that he's given out, it's not just NATO, but also China. And the fact that Trump also said that they're attacking the Kharg Island, and we talk about that island, China is one of the countries that has stakes there as well. So how do you think China will be reacting to this kind of warning from Trump saying that, okay, I'm going to delay my visit and I'm going to wait for how China reacts and if it helps me in secure the Strait of Hormuz?
Does an economy like China pay heed to this kind of a discourse coming in from the US?
Well, China's economy is also vulnerable to what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz. It is Iran's biggest customer for oil. So any strikes on the Kharg Island refining and storage facilities are certainly going to impact China. So far, Iran has made sure that the oil going to China keeps moving. It's targeting other countries' oil and gas infrastructure, and it's sending a message to the United States via its neighbours. The oil is still getting through to China. So I think, China is going to be vulnerable politically, but it has shown that at the last summit that it had with America, when Trump last went to Beijing, for instance, that it is able to push back against Trump's excesses, if you like. Last time they met at the summit last year, Xi Jinping got concessions out of Trump over the tariffs that he had levied against China's exports to the United States. And I think maybe that pressure, the same pressure, can come to bear. It seems to me that Xi Jinping does have some leverage over Trump, and as a major customer of Iranian oil, I think it's going to be in his interest to use that leverage.
And while we're on the topic, Lynn, Kharg Island and Strait of Hormuz, while US threatens to target Kharg Island and the oil facilities, they're not just the military targets which they claim to have already taken out. Iran has enforced complete control, at least through threats and their own targets and their own strikes in the Strait of Hormuz. Is it a game of now who blinks first, as one takes hold of Kharg, the other one takes hold of the Strait, both having implications across?
Well, Kharg is really quite vulnerable. It's not far off the coast. It can take huge oil tankers, like 85 million barrels of oil tankers, which are essential for moving the oil out of there in quantity. What Trump has done so far, it seems, is signal to the Iranians that Kharg Island is vulnerable, and that if he wants to, he can attack the oil infrastructure there. But he's also sending a signal to the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, basically the Iranian military, because their economic lifeblood is all caught up on that island. Kharg, definitely vulnerable, but Iran has already basically signalled that it's not fully closing the strait, but even limited disruptions with mines, drone attacks, harassment of the tankers has spiked the global energy prices. It can do so again, and I think both sides at this point are looking at escalating. The potential for escalating asymmetric warfare. That means the economic consequences of escalation could reach far beyond the battlefield, and Kharg Island has to be right in the centre of that.
And that being said, when we look at all these countries who are denying to send these warships, do you think that there is some kind of isolation that U.S. Is bound to suffer, considering the fact that this warning has come out to the NATO members and all the allies, who he has said that if your ships are there, then you're responsible for securing it?
Yeah, I think that that's a really good point. But I also think that what the allies have signalled is their willingness to keep diplomatic channels open. And that will also spill into pressure on the United States. Trump is just one man in an administration of powerful allies and envoys, and a military that is very professional as well as very powerful and is also connected to other countries. You've got the Five Eyes, you've got the NATO alliance. So I think that maybe over coming days we will see pressure come to bear as Trump ratchets up the rhetoric. That's what he's good at. But behind the scenes, diplomatic pressure, I think, is going to be extremely important. As we go forward.
And Lynn, Chris, right? All right, there's breaking news coming in. Lynn, I'll request you to just stay on with us. I'll come right back to you once we bring these updates to our viewers.